Cutting your sales cycle in half sounds pretty impossible, right? But that's exactly what Sandler Trading did with HubSpot. They used Breeze, HubSpot's AI tools, to tailor every customer interaction without losing their personal touch. And the results were pretty incredible. Click-through rates jumped 25%, qualified leads quadrupled, and people spent 3 times longer on their landing pages. You can go to HubSpot.com to see how Breeze can help your business grow. Okay, good morning, everybody. Today's Friday, May 16th. I'm Jon Weigell here with Mark Dent and Isaac Hetzroni, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. It's a hard time out there to be a small business. With tariff rates changing on a seemingly weekly basis, entrepreneurs face a big dilemma. Wait until the supply chain stabilizes, seek scarcely available American manufacturing, or pay a higher price. We talked to Isaac Hetzroni, who sources products for large and small companies as CEO of Imprint Genius and shares supply chain advice on TikTok as the sourcing guy. Just a note, this conversation was recorded in early May before the China tariffs had been temporarily moved back to 30%. We'll get to all that in a little bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech, why don't we? Starting off with Dick's Sporting Goods, Dick's is acquiring Foot Locker for $2.4 billion. While shares of Foot Locker are down 41% so far this year, Dick's says the merger will help it, quote, expand sneaker culture and dominate the market as the major Nike purveyor. Next, now you can map out your next vacation entirely. The latest Apple Maps update is bringing recommendations from outside sources like the Michelin Guide, the Infatuation, and Golf Digest to its interface to let users view and search for restaurant, golf course, and hotel ratings. Very expensive vacation. Next, we're talking retail. Walmart is saying that your shopping trips are going to get more expensive. The company's CEO referenced tariffs and announced that higher prices are coming to its stores on the Q1 company earnings call, which mostly otherwise touted record high revenues of the retail giant. And finally, In-N-Out said that it's going to remove artificial dyes from its strawberry milkshakes and pink lemonade, replacing them with natural coloring. How nice. And In-N-Out will also switch to a new ketchup formula that trades high fructose corn syrup for real sugar. How about that? These changes follow the FDA's announcement last month that it will phase out some synthetic dyes in the country's food supply in the coming years, and I think we're all okay with that. Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. I mean, every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link. You don't want to sleep on this. Okay, on to the main story today. Mark is going to be chatting with supply chain expert Isaac Hetzroni about what we can expect from the supply chain in the coming years. So take it away, Mark.
All right, Isaac Hetzroni, welcome to the Hustle Daily Show.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, so as we know, tariffs are a huge deal right now. They're about 10% across the board. How are you seeing these impact American companies so far, and Chinese companies for that matter?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say that the amount that is affecting Chinese companies or American companies varies a ton. For smaller brands in America, we could start off there because that's the majority of, American companies.
Yeah.
They are heavily affected in the sense that they were very dependent on China. They probably were single source in the sense that they were only using one core manufacturer, and they were most likely using China because China is the main place to import products from. If you're going to go and manufacture out of China, minimums might be way higher, and it does take a little bit more expertise to execute that. So now we're seeing a lot of small brands just kind of be stuck, and they're saying, oh, we can't get our new goods, and they have to go out of stock. Maybe they're going to hurt their Amazon business because now the ranking is going to get hit. So that's what's happening for the small businesses.
Why are they going to potentially have to go out of stock, though? Just because it's so much harder now to find a source there in China, given these tariffs?
Well, the thing is, they could order it and they could produce the products, no problem. But to deliver it into the US, if they have to pay, 125% plus tariffs, then it may no longer be profitable to bring the product in.
Right. And so they have to play this sort of waiting game to try and figure out what their next step is, kind of?
Majority of brands are doing that. Majority of brands are just stocking the goods. They finish the production and they're just waiting to see, okay, is the tariff rate going to get reduced?
Yeah. And for big brands, is it a little bit different, though? It sounds like maybe.
Big brands is different. So I'd say that some big brands are relatively well set up because a lot of big brands, especially like in the apparel space, have been diversifying their supply chain for a very long time. They've been diversifying their supply chain due to, improved cost. So they were already moving out of China. So now it's just about, okay, great. We're just going to go and give even more capacity to our partner facility in India or Myanmar or Brazil or wherever they were manufacturing. The issue, though, that a lot of the big brands have, especially if they work in the retail space, is that they have contracts, right? And they have to go and deliver those goods to the retailers. So a lot of big brands we're seeing as well are the ones that are paying these huge multi-million-dollar tariff bills because they have to go deliver the goods or they're going to lose and they're going to burn the relationship with the Walmarts, with the Targets. And they can't just play the game of being like, oh, we're just going to wait and hold the goods to see when the tariffs are going to get reduced.
Yeah. And so we're talking in early May, Isaac, and you're in Hong Kong right now. You've also been spending some time in China. What are you kind of hearing from people on the ground? What do they kind of feel like about this whole situation and think about what's going to happen?
I'd say that when you talk to Chinese factories, a majority of them think that this is going to end soon. They're like, it's going to be okay. Some of them are saying give it a few weeks. Some of them are saying give it a few months, but they don't think it's going to be a long-term issue. Now, certain factories are way less affected and some are way more affected. If you look at the actual numbers, about 20% of the products manufactured in China goes to the US. So it's not a huge effect on the overall economy. But certain factories maybe specialize in selling to the American market versus sell to other markets. So some factories we're talking to, they're like, it's fine. We only do 10% of our business with the US. It's okay. But another one I was just talking to, he's like, Isaac, 80% of our businesses in the US. He's like, we have 500 employees. He's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my employees. Like, I had to put all these employees on temporary leave. All of our clients have paused their orders. So, it really varies out here.
Yeah, they can't just switch overnight and find clients in other countries. To go back to small businesses here in the US, you mentioned what a lot of them are doing right now. They're in this kind of holding pattern. What's like the best advice for them right now? I mean, for years, as we know, small businesses have been looking to China because it's oftentimes the only place. Certainly it has been the least expensive place, the most sensible place for them to source from. What do you tell them to do right now? Both short-term and long-term, for that matter.
So from a long-term perspective, I think it's always good to start diversifying your supply chain. Now, not every product category can be diversified, and not every product category can go to any other country. So a good little strategy, go on ChatGPT and type in, hey, this is my product. Give it as much details as you can and say, what other countries could I potentially source this in? And that's going to give you a good idea. Okay. Oh, I'm making leather bags. I didn't know I could make leather bags in India or Brazil or Colombia or all these other places. And then you could also ask it, like, these are also the rough volumes I do. Because, I've been to a lot of factories, let's say in Cambodia, that have 50,000 piece MOQs or minimum order quantities. So you can't move your manufacturing there if you're a small brand. Now, in a short-term perspective, the easiest solution you can have is talk to your current Chinese manufacturer and say, hey, are you building or do you have a partner facility in another country that we can collaborate with? I would say, out of the factories I was talking to at the Canton Fair last week, about half of them had a solution where they found a partner facility that, let's say, for example, the partner facility was in Myanmar. And they would go and ship all the materials to produce the product and all the finishings and all the trims to Myanmar and then produce the exact same product, just produce it in Myanmar, get the certificate of origin from there and ship it out. So that's a really easy way, if you can, to produce the same product without going through as much headache just by talking to them. We run a product sourcing agency, right? So we're working with all of our clients and trying to figure out, okay, what countries can we move your production to and how can we do it the most effectively?
Yeah. And is it tough for small businesses sometimes? I know you have to make sure that the factory that you're going to be getting your products from is good. How about vetting a factory? Like these small businesses probably had to do that in China already. Is it tough for them to actually know that if they do look to somewhere in Myanmar or Vietnam or wherever it might be, that they know that they can get what they're actually really wanting?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing to do is actually vetting. People think that, China is this place that has, let's say, really bad working conditions or really bad overall relationships, and it's really easy to get scammed in China. Maybe people have had bad experiences, but if you compare that to a lot of other countries, it is night and day. It is so much easier to manufacture. It is so much easier to vet because there's so much infrastructure around Chinese manufacturing, and there's governing bodies and there's associations and there's standardized procedures and there's standardized documentation, certifications across that. So what I would say is tread lightly, and if you are a small brand and you're just going to go and start manufacturing in other places, really try to do as much research as you can and be very careful. And I would honestly recommend hiring a quality control agency to go and do a full factory audit before you start working with these factories, because it is not the same game that you were playing utilizing a factory found on Alibaba.
So one of the goals, of course, of these tariffs is to reshore manufacturing, to have more stuff produced in the U.S. Do you think that small businesses would like to source from the U.S. if these factories and these products were made here? And do you think it's possible that that could happen in the next few years?
I mean, I think small businesses would love it. It would be so easy. They could have a way better overall relationship with the factory. They'd be able to go visit it. They'd be able to understand the manufacturing process behind it. So yeah, if we could move manufacturing here, I think it'd be fantastic. Unfortunately, it's going to take a while before we can move over a lot more manufacturing to the US. Labor cost is a big part of how to manufacture products, and the cost of labor isn't going to go down in the US, which makes it hard. But now the way that it does go down is through automation and robotics. So you saw, I believe Xiaomi launched a fully robotic phone factory in China recently. No lights, nothing. You have Elon Musk with SpaceX and Tesla with very much robotic focused manufacturing. So I think that fully automated factories and robotic focused factories are the future, and that's what's going to be coming into play. And as that technology improves, it's no longer going to be about who has the lowest labor costs. It's going to be who can build that infrastructure. And I think there's a very good chance that the US is going to be able to do that.
Okay. One final question, and I'm going to ask you to put on your prediction glasses, which is, I know, I'm sorry, never fun. But what do you think is going to happen to businesses here in the next few months?
We're going to start seeing shelves get emptier and emptier. There's going to be a lot less selection on product. There might be increased costing on certain products from a supply and demand perspective, because these brands don't want to have to run out of stock. So if you increase costing, maybe you're going to sell a little more and you can take advantage of that. So I think that a lot of businesses may go out of business as well. And, maybe we will see a lot more pushes to open up factories here in the US, but it's definitely going to be a difficult time if these tariffs don't get fixed soon.
Okay. All right, Isaac. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us. Again, that's Isaac Hetzroni. He is the sourcing guy on Instagram and on TikTok if you want to follow him. And he is also the owner and CEO of Imprint Genius. Thank you, Isaac.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, and that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at thehustledaily. We will catch you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this great podcast lately. You got to check it out. It's called Content is Profit. It's hosted by Luis and Fonzie Camejo, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So in this podcast, you can discover the secrets and strategies on how your business can achieve the frictionless sale. We talk about frameworks, strategies, tactics, and bring special guests to bring you all the information you need in order to turn your content into profit. Recently, they did a whole episode on micro creators and UGC and how those things are transforming the social media industry, especially for profit. They had a guest on, William Gassner, who is the co-founder of Stack Influence. So definitely check that episode out if you want to learn more about the social media landscape as it is currently. You can listen to Content as Profit wherever you get your podcasts.